Hey buds, welcome to the channel. Let's make a sourdough together. Get all your ingredients, your tools, your scale. We're going to make an amazing loaf together. The first thing we're going to do is feed our starter. You probably have a big bucket of this sitting on your counter and you're feeding it every day. You're wasting flour. Don't do that. Just feed your starter once a week and keep it in the fridge. This starter is 100% hydrated, so I'm going to feed it with equal parts flour and water. Starting with 70 grams of flour. Now my starter is about 8 months old at the recording of this video, and it is Tangtown. It's really nice and fermented. So now I'm going to add in my water, 70 grams. And I was pouring quick and went over. I think I poured in 82 grams, so I just zeroed out my scale and added the difference, which is 12 more grams of flour. Now just give it a stir. Incorporate the water and flour into the previous mixture, and then you're going to end up with this lumpy soup, which is perfect because then you're going to grab a little whisk and you're going to whisk out all those lumps until you get this really nice, smooth, pancake batter, textured starter. All right, now you're done with your whisk and you have fed your starter. Put the lid back on and stick it in the fridge. It's got lots of carbs to eat for a week, so just leave it in there. All right, now we're gonna make our leaven. So take about 20 grams of starter. We're going to do a 1 to 3 to 3 ratio. So we're going to add 60 grams of water to our 20 grams of starter, and then we're going to add 60 grams of flour to create a 30% hydration leaven. Not starter, leaven. This is what's going to make your bread rise. So mix it up really good, get all the starter, the water, and the flour incorporated, and it's going to look like this biscuit batter. Really thick, lumpy, that's okay. Just get it all incorporated. And then one thing I like to do is scrape the sides so that everything is all together, fermenting. And this will also allow you to see into your jar a bit better. Take your finger and scrape off that extra leaven. You're going to need it. Now, take a hair elastic or something and mark the top of your leaven because you want this to double in size, and that'll allow you to see how much it's grown. So put a loose fitting lid on it and throw it on the shelf for a couple hours until it doubles in size, and boom, it's doubled in size. Now we're going to make the dough. So take your leaven and look at this. Look at how velvety and stringy that leaven looks. So take 123 grams of leaven, and just remember, this is not your starter, this is your leaven. This is what's going to make your bread rise and get lots of oven spring. Put your loose fitting lid back on your jar, and you have enough discard in here to make several more loaves of sourdough. You don't even need to dip into your starter. So put that in the fridge and make a few more loaves out of that. Now, add 345 grams of filtered room temperature water and give that a stir. It's going to look like milk. Now add the flour. We're going to add 567 grams of flour to your water and leaven. And now it's time to add the salt because bread without salt is gross. Just add 12 grams of salt and lock that bowl into your stand mixer with the dough hook attachment and turn it on level 1. Level 1 is going to just incorporate these ingredients gently, and after about a minute you're going to get this shaggy mess, which is exactly what you want. Then you're going to turn it up to level 2, and the dough is going to begin to knead. When it gets sticky and it's sticking to the sides, that's great. Turn it up to level 3, I think, and let the lump of dough pick the sticky stuff off the side. This process doesn't take more than 2.5 minutes, okay? So don't overdo it. You don't need to. After, get a straight walled vessel and spray it with some cooking spray. Transfer your lump of dough into your vessel. That little bit, eat it. It's so good. Now with a wet hand, push the dough down and make it one lump. Toss the lid on, and 20 minutes later, come back for your first stretch and fold. Look at my technique. Stretch it till it stops stretching, fold it over itself. Stretch it till it stops stretching, fold it over itself. Do not stretch this until it tears. You want it to be stretchy. All right? And then this is what I like to do. I don't know if anybody else does it, but I pull this out and I stretch it a bit more like this. I fold it under itself. I form this little bun, and the glutens are so elasticy. You're gonna repeat this 2 more times at 20-minute intervals, and then you're gonna let it sit overnight covered until it doubles in size. Now the next morning, I think it's like 7 or something, I get my baking bench ready. I like to use this silicone mat because look how nice and evenly that flour spreads. So I take my lump of dough that's fermented overnight and doubled in size, and with some floured fingertips, I'm going to put it out onto my surface. If it sticks, just give it a little twist gently and then release it from your hand. Look, nothing stayed on my fingers. It all released from my hand. That's perfect. Now with floured fingers, just begin to work out the dough into a rough square shape. Look at those gas bubbles. That means we have a good fermentation going in our dough. So I stretch it out, and then I fold back to front in half. Then I fold left to right 2/3, and I pinch it down a bit. Then I fold right to left in half. Oh man, look at that big gas bubble. Now this is something I developed as well. I take the front of the dough and I stretch it a bit. Then I'm going to fold it back over itself and then pull it towards me using the bottom of my hand to pinch the seam together. And I'm creating lots of tension on that lump of dough so it looks so nice and beautiful. Look at that. That's a beautiful lump of dough. Now I'm going to get my Banneton basket ready. I put lots of flour in there and I rub it all in so that the sides are nice and smooth. Just evenly distribute that flour. Don't be shy with the flour. We do not want this beautiful lump of dough to stick to this linen liner and then deform. We don't want the loaf to deform when we're taking it out of the proofing basket. So put your lump of dough seam side up in your basket and pinch your seam together. Gently just pinching it together, locking in all the air and gases so that we get all those big holes in our sourdough, which makes it look so nice. I like to push the dough down a bit, just evenly distributing it in the basket. Gently do this. And after it sits for about 15 minutes, it's ready to go in the fridge for 6 or 7 hours till it proofs. Okay, so now it's 7:08 a.m. I'm going to preheat my oven to 450. And while that's starting to preheat, I'm going to score my loaf. Look at that nice loaf. Listen, it makes a knock. That's what you want. You want to have a nice firm crust. Now, I bought this silicone baking sheet and cut it to fit the bottom of my Dutch oven, and it makes it really easy to take the loaf out of the basket. I just put it on the top, grab the sides and turn it over. I center it on the mat, and then I just lift the basket off gently. Boom. Look at that beautiful lump of sourdough. Brush off any excess flour, and now we're going to score it. And I like to do just one long score. down the side. I have my bread lom here, a razor blade. You can use a sharp knife, but I like to use the razor blade. And I follow that seam that the Banneton basket made. So penetrate the dough and then smooth cut. And then I put a couple little marks on the top for decoration. Now this scoring is going to give us lots of room for oven spring. This loaf of bread is going to explode in the Dutch oven. It's going to get so big. It's going to be perfect. So we're now going to put it in our preheating oven. It's not preheated, it's just preheating. So it's probably at like 150 degrees right now. So a cold Dutch oven into a preheating oven, and then set the timer for 45 minutes. When the timer goes off, come back. We're going to take the lid off of this Dutch oven. Check this. Look at the size of this thing. Look how much oven spring we had. It's exploding. So I'm going to do 15 more minutes to get it nice and golden brown. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my goodness. It's so delicious looking, and it's going to taste amazing. Get it out of there as quick as you can and get it on a cooling rack. Buds, look at this. Look at all that oven spring. Look at all that oven spring. Look at that beautiful caramelized ear. There's so much flavor there. And then we got that nice little design on the back. Just a nice classic sourdough. Beautiful. That's so crispity and crunchity. When you feel this in your hand, you're just going to want to dive right in, which I do. I always cut the heel. It's a reward for a job well done. I cut the heel. Look at that while it's still hot and crispy. Look at the holes. Yes, sir. A little bit of butter and a little bit of coarse sea salt. Oh, this is delish. All right, now you go do the same.